was gonna talk about this a few weeks ago. Okay, so when I moved to San Francisco, I started a book club called the Anti-MBA. And I did it because I didn't go to an elite Ivy League school, but I was always envious of those people because when I moved here, I didn't know a single soul. And I always like stereotyped people as like tall, beautiful white teeth with Patagonias, and they had like lovely networks.
That's what you saw all around you.
Yeah, just like these like rich white people who, that's how I was like,
right.
That's how I imagined it. And it kind of was that. And I was always envious of that. So what I did was I created a book club meeting where we would meet every week and we would read one book a month, and I would convince an expert on the book.
How'd you convince people to join this? Where'd you throw it up? On your
how
blog
I do.
or what?
I'm just a cold email guy. I just learned how to cold email people, and I did it online. So each week we would have 30 people show up, and I probably had an email list of 5,000 people who would.
So this was not in person. This was all online.
30 people in person. Sieva,
yeah.
A lot of my best friends I met this way. 30 people. My friend had an office and he let me use it, and we would just meet up, and I would read a week ahead of time and just make notes and lead the discussion, and sometimes we would have an expert.
Okay.
And then I would send show notes or meeting notes to the list, and people loved it. I made close to no money off of it, or I don't think I made any money off of it. I just did it for fun, and it was very successful. And a lot of people said that we should make it a thing. I think I thought it was a stupid idea, but book clubs are actually kind of interesting. So there's this business called Book of the Month Club. It was started I believe it was started in the 1930s. At this point, it was owned by Bertelsmann, which is a large publisher, a multi-billion-dollar publisher, and then recently a private individual bought it for single-digit millions of dollars. In the 40s, 50s, and 60s, this was massive. I mean, it was millions of people paid for it, so it was quite a large business, hundreds of millions of dollars, probably in the 60s and 70s. It's gone away once Amazon came around. A guy bought it a couple years ago, and it's quite large still. And what they do is scroll down a little bit more.
This says 90 million users? What the hell?
No, that's Goodreads.
Oh, that's Goodreads. Okay.
And so Book of the Month Club now has 100,000 active paying customers.
Wow.
Which means they're in the revenue range of 10 to 15 million a year in recurring revenue. And the founder said in an interview, his goal is to grow 5x a year. For
5x a year, nice.
For the next year, not consistently. I don't know if I think that's bogus, but Book of the Month is kind of an interesting thing. I've always thought that it would not work. Now, my opinion has changed. So Goodreads has 100 million users. There's this thing called Wattpad. Have you heard of Wattpad?
I've heard of it, yeah.
Wattpad, a lot of people don't know about it. Wattpad, it's owned by a guy in Canada, and they have 400 employees. It's a multiple $100 million a year business, I believe. It's a book club it's not a book club. It's more
you write on it. You write original stories on it.
Yeah, but the category is middle America romance novels.
Yep.
So if you're a 40-year-old woman, you probably have heard of Wattpad.
You're saying that's the most popular category, or
yeah,
that's
but
everything?
It's pretty much all they do.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's basically for women it's like men do video porn, romance novels is woman porn. I mean, that's basically what it is. And so, huge business. And now I'm quite bullish now on these book clubs. Yeah, Reese Witherspoon has a book club. My wife uses it. My sister. So many people. Have you heard of this?
No,
I
haven't heard of that one.
It's called Sunshine, some fucking thing. But
Oprah had hers, but hers wasn't a paid membership. But this is really smart. Like what you're describing, I'm like, oh, this is good. And I think you got to have, probably not got to have, but it's advantageous here to have a brand like a Reese Witherspoon or whoever, Jennifer Aniston or Gwyneth Paltrow or whoever, or like The Hustle could do a book club, you could do a book club. Like I think that you have to have a bit of cachet to organize people around, to get the energy going, that initial energy you need.
So here's one angle. You buy the rights to the book, which is expensive.
Yeah, why would you do that?
Well, because I think the margins in books are quite small. I've talked to Tim Ferriss about this. He told me that he earns he didn't say that, he didn't tell me this, but he told me, I mean, I think that he does about $1 million a month in revenue off his podcast. And he told me that this is what he did tell me. He has made 10 times more money off the podcast than all of his books combined.
Right.
So I don't think people get paid a lot of money for books. So the margins are just.
So it might be a cheap asset, you're saying?
Yeah, I think it's quite cheap. So I would my goal would be to buy the rights to the book and make it popular. You know who, have you heard of, there's this company that owns, Proactive. It's called, I know
what you're talking about. It's the skincare.
It's a direct marketing company. the guy who owns it, it's a quite large business. He got his start because he bought the rights to Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, really?
And he helped make it popular again.
Oh, wow.
Through infomercials. So that's what I would do, is I would want to buy the rights to all the books. And there's another company called Mentor Box that does this. And Ty Lopez is one of the owners. So it's incredibly scammy. I mean, like you sign up for like $20 and then it rolls into like a $400 a month thing. It's like fucking stupid. But book clubs are super interesting to me.
So would you do this, like if you were going to do this now, how would you attack it? What would you do? So you buy the rights to of which books?
If I wanted to bootstrap it, no,
yeah.
You can't.
How would you do it?
So what I would do is I would look at what Vinyl Me Please. Vinyl Me Please is my friend's business. It's a probably a couple $1,000,000 a month subscription thing. So what you do is you give them $50 a month and they send you a vinyl once a month.
Right.
And so I would do that, but for a particular type of category. So what I would do is I would create a Facebook group, and I would say it's $30 or $50 a month, and we're going to read one book a month. I'm going to get one expert to come and talk about the book each week or each month. We're going to do it in a Facebook group, and I'm going to send you notes about the whole book.
And what category do you think you'd choose? Would you do the romance novel, or would you do business, or would you do self-help?
Well, just because I have such a network in business that I could just crush it right off the bat.
Business, yeah.
But romance novels, I know this from experience because I've invested in these types of things. Romance novels have the highest liquidity, as in people consume them the most.
Right.
So
they're like voracious readers. Five times the number of books read.
The romance category is probably it's probably the most popular category on Kindle.
Yeah.
I bet you it is. So
okay,
me personally, I would start here. But if I even slightly was interested in romance novels, I would.
And I like what this guy did, buying the rights to the Book of the Month Club for a popular asset that's sort of decayed over the last 30 years, and see if you can revitalize it on the cheap. I think these are interesting businesses.
There's so many books that I love that are written in the 60s and 70s, and you try to buy them on Amazon, and they're hundreds of dollars because they've just been forgotten and they don't reprint them.
Right.
I just tried to buy a book the other day for that someone mentioned on Twitter, and it was $900.
What book?
It was, so I just tweeted about Agora, that's the scammy company, which we can talk about if we want, but it was all about copywriting. It was $900.